What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Dota 2 commentary. This is the first European match I've brought you guys in quite a while. This is a match from the defense. Shouts to Diamond who managed to get me this replay from the defense. So we will be able to watch M5 up on the Dire side versus 4FC on the Radiant side. M5, of course, one of the international invitees, one of the most controversial international invitees, because they have been playing very inconsistently, to say the least. We'll put it kindly. They are not highly ranked on the Ghost of Gamers power rankings, which doesn't mean too much, but they have definitely not been able to show their mark in all of these online tournaments. Of course, you can definitely not underestimate PGG when he goes on to the LAN factor, and with a team like PGG, Vigos, Admir, Blood Angel, you cannot really count them out of any scenario. So hopefully we'll see a very interesting game between 4FC and M5. 4FC, I think they've been around a long time. It's 4 friends plus Krilly, you can see on the screen to the bottom left. So we'll see how this goes. Already we see the Invoker ban, so I'm expecting to probably see either a Furion ban or a Broodmother ban, both very common heroes in the current metagame. Instead we see the Chen ban, so it looks like PGG does not want to deal with the early pushing power. And will 4FC ban the Enigma? Maybe not in the first rounds of bans because it's not really a common first pick hero, but PGG loves playing that Enigma, and his black holes are pretty fearsome. But when it comes to PGG's black holes, either pretty much all or nothing for the most part. But a lot of the times he does get 3 to 4 heroes in them, so I think Enigma Respectan might be in order. So just a little bit of background information, what's going on with my channel. Yeah, Batrider Guide will be out within the week. I know I keep saying that, but yes, it is actually putting on the finishing touches, so hopefully we'll be able to watch that very shortly. And hopefully you all enjoy that. I managed to receive mostly positive reviews from the Smite, but I won't make it too frequent a series. Maybe once a week I'll post a video on just how my progress is going with that game. And keep in mind, my focus will still be on Dota 2. Do not worry. Right now I'm just casting some Dota 2 matches just for a different change of pace, and the Dota 1 matches have not been of too high quality, to be frankly honest. I mean, even the recommended replays, there's been a lot of criticism just how sloppy the games have been played. So I think if you guys want me to keep casting Dota 1, please send me the replay link you want me to cast to my email address, bballin773@gmail.com. And finally, this is my first recording on XSplit, so hopefully the quality will not suffer. I mostly did it because when I record in Fraps, the Dota just looks so dark, and I don't want to have to edit everything in Sony Vegas because it just looks very dark. It's very difficult to see, and if I use the YouTube video editor to fix the lighting, it just makes everything look very unusual. So hopefully the lighting will be fixed in this recording, and I'm sorry if the quality is a little bit reduced, but I will probably only be doing this for Dota 2. In Dota 1 I can still use Fraps, the quality's fine, and all that jazz. So meanwhile we're seeing very standard bans: Invoker, Chaos Knight, Darkseer, Chen, and the Lycanthrope. And I'm a little bit disappointed at the moment because I haven't seen a Chaos Knight replay. I know he's been very commonly picked. I haven't seen the success rate. Keep in mind, in Dota 1, oftentimes teams pick the Chaos Knight, but teams didn't seem to win with the Chaos Knight because I don't think they utilized him to his fullest potential, which is a very strong mid-game / late-game carry, and they often made him roam a little bit too hard in the early game. But we're going to see a Nature's Prophet and the Leshrac being the opening picks up, so let's see what PGG decides to go with for the second pick. Will we see the Enigma, or will we see a more or less common pick, maybe like the Windrunner to help stabilize the lanes? Or how are they going to lane this Leshrac? It's going to be interesting to see. And of course, the Nature's Prophet pick does not reveal too much. Nature's Prophet pick is just such a versatile hero. And we're going to see a Sand King being picked up for M5, so I'm expecting some strong Sand King play. And what's refreshing about this Sand King is that he actually gets farm and he actually gets levels. Unlike in the Southeast Asian scene where he's roaming, ganking just constantly, and does not get enough levels. And when you don't get levels on Sand King, you're just not going to have a good time in the mid game. Epicenter is such a strong ultimate that I don't really understand the Southeast Asians' reasoning for sort of foregoing that and just picking the Sand King for his extremely short range stun as a roamer. We're going to see the Shouting picked up, so will we see an interesting pairing, maybe with a Kunkka to combo with Disruption, or maybe just a Shout even as a strong ganker? Ganking is the name of the game oftentimes versus M5. They are so very aggressive, that makes them one of the most fun teams to watch. And keep in mind, Vigos is still extremely competent player, and the results of M5 definitely do not speak to their overall talent level, and when it comes down to the lane, I have full confidence that they will get into tip-top shape and display their talents to the fullest. So winner being picked up for 4FC. So 4FC, just a little bit of background information, they've been here for quite a while in the Dota 1 and Dota 2 scene. I don't think they've ever really officially picked up a sponsor or anything like that. They just play as 4 friends plus Krilly, who I guess is not a friend. Poor Krilly, forever alone. Nah, I'm just messing. They're probably all really close friends. They are a Swedish team, so they have definitely had a lot of experience. And right now, they've been sort of struggling a little bit in Dota 2 scene. They are pretty much hovering on the 500% win rate, so they win as many games as they lose, which is not really the mark of a top Dota 2 team. But keep in mind the quality of Dota 2 that's being played all over the map. You can only have so many top teams. Like, there are teams that just have ridiculous win percentages, so keep in mind that the 500 win record of 4FC definitely might not speak to their overall skill level, and we can definitely, hopefully we'll be able to see that in this upcoming game. Now we're waiting on M5. Will we see Enigma? If we do see Enigma, expect PGG to be jungling it up so he can come out for some mid-game ganks into pushes. But I'm not really too sure if PGG will pick up the Enigma so soon, but he definitely loves that Enigma. Meanwhile, Windrunner and Shadow Demon and Furion don't really give away too much of 4FC's plan, so they can still go into late game. They can still gank very aggressively with the Furion and the Shadow Demon. And we're going to see a Batrider being picked up. Oh yes, Batrider, let's go. Now, Batrider is actually a hero who, for the first 8 months of Dota 2, he's just sort of been completely off the map. He has not seen too much play, sort of a niche pick. But recently he's seen quite a surprising rise to fame and fortune. He's been seen being played by EG a couple of times. Zenith paired him with an Ursa. I really wanted to get my hands on that replay. But unfortunately that replay was lost for the Mists. So I'm pretty disappointed with that. But Batrider, of course, is just a strong hero. One of the reasons we don't see him is just because he feels different and the pace of the game. He doesn't really fit a fast-paced pushing metagame that the Europeans so love to use. But if the game's transition more into chasing, more into ganking, which we saw in the latter half of Dota 2's or Dota 1's lifespan, then Batrider I expect to see more play, and he's definitely been rising up as it goes on. Keep in mind, Sticky Napalm, the turn rate is just a lot weirder this time. Turn rates are a lot more smooth. And one of the best things about Batrider is I encountered a lot of mid lane heroes like Shadow Fiend, like Furion, I guess like that, Storm Spirit, because they had such awkward turn animation. But in Dota 2, they're much smoother, so that's one of the reasons why he hasn't seen too much play. So I'm going to be interested to see who plays the Batrider. Maybe we'll see a Vigos Batrider. That would just make my day. So we're going to see a Night Stalker ban along with a Panda ban. Now the Panda ban makes a lot of sense because you do not want to give up that mass teamfight hero for 4FC. I'm not really too sure about the Night Stalker ban just because so many heroes on the M5's side needs experience, but there could have been a tri-lane Night Stalker nonetheless. Krob ban, M5 is one of the teams who first utilized Krob in its fullest. I think Navi has a ridiculously low win percentage against Krob. I mean, Navi has like an 80% win rate overall, so their win rate against Krob is probably like 50 to 40%, which is still pretty decent. But Krob is definitely a niche hero for M5, only seen from time to time. Definitely was a flavor of the week, or a flavor of the 2 weeks for a little bit, and then she sort of died out just because she can be countered. She has pretty tough time laning for a bit, and when you get into the mid to late stages of the game, if you sort of focus her down, she'll become a little bit less useful. But nonetheless, that will not matter now because she's removed from the equation completely. Tidehunter is the last ban for M5PG, banning out those teamfight heroes, so that might open up to Enigma pick. It's going to be interesting to see how M5 lanes this. Right now they have 3 heroes who need a lot of experience. If PG doesn't play a support like Shrek or anything like that, I mean, it's definitely possible. So we'll see how 4FC decides to pick this. Will they go for a late game pick to pair up with the Shadow Demon and the mid-game dominance of the Windrunner and the Nature's Prophet, and just have an overall strong pushing composition? Or will they go for a bit more of ganking? Will we see a Gondar? Will we see a Clinks? Clinks, of course, an insane tower pusher. We're going to see an Enchantress, so Enchantress is going to come out of the woodwork and just gank it up. So we'll see if they decide to pick up another support. I fully do not expect that to happen, but if they did, that might be a double jungle strat and just give 3 solo heroes, but that would not be advisable because they have pretty much no late game. They'll have a lot of very strong mid-game heroes. Enchantress, of course, a pretty trendy pick recently just because she's a strong pusher. She's very versatile. She gets pretty tanky. She has a good early game, but she needs to have a good early game, otherwise she becomes the next to useless. Much like this Batrider pick. So Except she becomes, I think, a little less useful than the Batrider if it comes to the late game. She doesn't have a strong early game. Meanwhile, M5 PG will he pick up the Morphling to go as a hard carry? That's what I expect. I'm surprised to see no hard carry being picked up just yet. But I guess each team is sort of waiting for each other to make the first move. So I think a Morphling or Enigma might suit PGG in this case. But if they do pick up the Morphling, they might have a difficult time laning him just because he doesn't have a very strong support to help him out in lane unless they give Leshrac to the lane. And Leshrac, of course, needs some levels, needs some experience, just wants to get as much levels of Edict as possible so he can push down early towers. And right now, there's not really strong anti-push that can go against the Enchantress. Sand King, Sandstorm, Batrider, Firefly is pretty good anti-push, but that requires the skills to just be in the midst of everything. And we're going to see the Venomancer being picked up by M5, so still no Morphling pick. I'm pretty surprised by this. So Venomancer, of course, the hero who needs experience, he was all the rage for the first 6 months of Dota 2 or so. Or rather, the first 5 months of Dota 2 or so. And then he just fell off the face of the map just because his Poison Nova doesn't become too effective if you get a Mechanism / Pipe. And they often played him as a tri-lane Venomancer / very, very hardcore support Venomancer where he didn't get too much experience. And Poison Nova did not become very useful. But I expect M5 just to play a very aggressive Venomancer. We're going to see a Kunkka being picked up. Not too uncommon with the Shadow Demon, but still pretty surprising nonetheless. Kunkka, of course, a pretty strong pusher, has a lot of AoE teamfight potential, a ridiculously annoying hero to lane against. So will M5 pick up the Morphling? That's just the question that remains to be seen, or will they pick up another hard carry instead? I do not expect M5 just to go all-out gank because there are a lot of good counter-ganking heroes on the 4FC squad. They have Nature's Prophet, they have Shadow Demon, they have Windrunner, Enchantress with the Healed, and Kunkka with the X, the Torrent, just is so annoying to deal with in terms of ganking. So I think M5 would serve them well to go for a little bit more of the late game scenario. So I expect Morphling to be picked up. Yes, we're going to see the Morphling. And just something that Friday Saga always tells you, Morphling should not have arms. Like in Dota 1, he just should not have arms. What more can you say? He's just a water thing. Water things shouldn't have arms. Anyway, just judging by the heroes and the players, I'm expecting to see a Vigos Batrider, if not Sand King. And a Vigos Batrider is something I'm so excited to see. So hopefully we'll be able to see Vigos utilize Batrider in a very, very capable role. How will they lane this? We're going to see Venomancer definitely paired up with the Morphling up on some lane. And maybe a Leshrac Sand King dual lane bot with the Batrider solo mid lane. That might be smart. Or we might be able to see a Batrider solo top lane with a dual lane in the mid lane with the Venomancer and Morphling. Have Venomancer roam and just help out that way. Meanwhile, we're going to have Enchantress jungle, Windrunner solo top, Nature's Prophet, probably solo mid, and maybe a Shadow Demon solo bot. Or we might just see the Windrunner solo bot and Shadow Demon with the Kunkka in the solo top position. So right now, as we wait for each team to pick up their heroes, let's introduce the players. We have SS playing that Morphling, PGG playing the Leshrac, Admir playing the Sand King, VVV aka Vigos playing the Batrider, and Blood Angel playing the Venomancer. Meanwhile, on the 4FC squad, we have Boom playing the Enchantress. Sorry, cannot see this name at the moment. Contre da Strange. Contra da Strang, whatever. Playing the Kunkka, my bad if you are watching this. ALX playing that Windrunner. Krilly playing that Nature's Prophet. And the last hero is Eris Loco on the Shadow Demon. So Vigos migrating to that top lane, so we might see a dual lane. Yes, we're going to see Morphling hit up that dual lane. I expect Venomancer to help out that Morphling if Morphling has a bit of a difficult time in that mid lane. And meanwhile, we're going to have Nature's Prophet versus Morphling. And I expect Venomancer to help out the Morphling once he sees the laning of Silence. But I think he probably predicted the Nature's Prophet in the mid lane. And we're just going to see Venomancer here just to help place the initial wards, maybe block off some of the Enchantress camps with the Magic Bush Ward. Do the 4FC squad have Sentry Wards? That remains to be the question. I fully expect the Enchantress to pick up a pair of Sentry Wards to find out if the Magic Bush Ward is blocked off. No, just the Observer Wards and early Smoker to see to go for very early ganking. Pretty standard, but if that Magic Bush Ward is warded off, which it is at the moment, then she's got a bit more of a difficult time ganking that mid lane and pushing, or ganking that bottom lane and pushing in. Of course, Smoker to see won't really reveal her cards too well, but keep in mind if you are around this place where you Smoker to see, of course she won't smoke up anywhere near that. Once she sees that wards, once she sees the camp being blocked off, she won't smoke up near that. She's too good of a player. And meanwhile, Illusion Rune being picked up, so looks like Blood Angel and PG are going to migrate to the bot lane. Sand King, Leshrac, dual lane against the winner should be able to handle themselves reasonably well. I don't know if they'll be able to get many kills on the winner just because she's pretty mobile. She has a decent escape mechanism. Sand King Burrow Strike, not the most reliable stun because it's pretty short range at the initial levels, and right now Admir is going on the aggressive already. Looks like Blood Angel comes from the back. Will they die immediately? Looks like the tower's doing a lot of damage. Alex taking a whole bunch of damage. Here comes PG with the reinforcements. Will he cast Splitter? Yes, he does, and here comes it nicely chained with the Burrow Strike. Magic Wand being popped. Looks like Blood Angel might die to the tower. He does die, but not before they pick off the Windrunner with the first blood. Sand King picks it up, so going to be able to fund a fast boots and maybe into an arcane boots before going into that Blink Dagger. And the sooner you get Sand King farmed up, the sooner you can pick up that Blink Dagger and just become a nuisance in the mid-game team fight. Meanwhile, Enchantress is jungling top offensively, so she predicted the magic push forward and managed to get up a gank with the Shadow Demon and the Kunkka to pick off Vigos Batrider. And if you hurt the Batrider in the early game, he's not going to have too good of a time in the mid to late game. You won't be able to pick up a fast Blink Dagger because he'll need to tank up a bit more. And right now, Eris Loco has a Sentry Ward, so they might be able to help out the Enchantress if she decides to go to that bot lane to jungle it up. But looks like she has no indications of doing that. She might want to get an early tower push. You see this very aggressive Observer Ward just telling the 4FC squad if any teleportation scrolls will come in to help out Vigos on that top lane. Meanwhile, SS is going to be soloing up against this Nature's Prophet. SS already last hitting quite well. 359 HP, so he's put a lot of points into agility just to enable him to control the creep equilibrium. And keep in mind that does give him significant armor as well. And just sort of go back to that point of the Leshrac Sand King lane. I said that it wouldn't be very easy to kill the runner just because Sand King has a very low stun range and Split Earth is not the most reliable stun unless it's chained with something else. And unless you're a good enough player to predict where it's going to go. But it looks like they're not going to even mess around with that. Alex is hiding in the trees. Very, very interesting juke spot. They could not find Alex. And Alex is going to survive, picking up experience all the while. So really interesting juke spot. I've never seen that being used. Maybe it's just something discovered recently, but M5 clearly did not have too much knowledge of that spot. So Alex is just hiding like a ninja. Winner, the Ginger Ninja. Pretty sexy. Pretty annoying. That hero is so annoying. Meanwhile, Morphling continuing the last hit. Of course, he has pretty good armor, 6 armor, and one of the big nerfs to Morphling in the early game was the reduction of that 2 armor in the early stages of the game. Looks like there's going to be a gank for the Batrider, but Vigos just pops the Firefly. Does not have the boost speed, so pretty slow nonetheless. Enchantress is going to walk out, has stacked 1 sticky napalm on that Enchantress. She does have the Nature's Tendon. Will they go on the offensive with an Enchantress? No, it looks like Firefly is going to be timing out pretty soon. Meanwhile, M5 all the while going to be pushing this bomb tier 1 tower, just cutting off the creep wave all the while. Going to be able to nuke it down very soon with the Burrow Strike and the Split Earth, along with the Edict, and push down this tower to make Windrunner shake in her boots. This Kunkka Shadow Demon tri-lane or dual lane with the help of the Enchantress is trying to do the same thing to Vigos. Unfortunately, Enchantress is forced to go back in jungle every once in a while. Meanwhile, this very aggressive tri-lane nonetheless is going to keep pushing it up. And it looks like Venomancer will pop the salve. Let's just see how SS is farming pretty well, but Crowley is doing a nice job harassing. Picked up 2 circles so going to be able to pick up a very early now Talisman. Looks like there might be an engagement for Vigos. Here comes the disruption along with the Torrent doing a lot of damage. Vigos takes the fall once again, and this is not what you want to have happen to a Batrider in the early stages of the game. May the predicted Windrunner up against Batrider. Batrider usually fares pretty well against Windrunner in this laning assignment. But right now, Vigos is not having too much fun up against this dual lane, combined with the fact of the Enchantress. So are they eliminating Windrunner's experience? She is level 3. Meanwhile, just checking out Vigos' experience. He's level 4, so he's faring a little bit well. He managed to pick up a kill. I did not see that happen. My bad, guys. But he still managed to pick up a kill nonetheless, so he probably got some sticky napalms along with the Firefly and just dove in to pick up an early kill. Meanwhile, Admir picks up the bottle, so he's going to be able to mana regen up, probably roam a little bit more into the early lead stage part of the game. Here comes the ward, spying out the ALX all the while. He casts Windrunner to avoid, and looks like Furion's going to teleport in. Here comes the Shadow Demon with the teleportation as well. Managed to kill Admir immediately. The Blood Angel is going to be able to teleport out, but no, the disruption catches him in the nick of time. Shadow Poison and Soul Catcher just doing a lot of damage, and Windrunner picks up another kill. 5-2 in favor of 4FC, so they are performing very admirably. And this is what you want to do with the Nature's Prophet. Just counter gank it up. Do not stay AFK in the forest with the Midas. Just keep counter ganking, keep being aggressive, and you will have a good time. Meanwhile, Vigas is just very glad for this respite up on this top lane, going to try to farm up. And it's going to be interesting to see. He's probably not going to be able to pick up a very fast Blink Dagger just because he's being harassed so heavily. So will he decide to go for a bit more of a tanky build, or will he go for very early BKB? These, of course, are very Asian builds. The standard European build in Dota 1 for Batrider was Vanguard, Hood, just tank up as much as possible, and then Blink Dagger. But the Asian build did like to get very fast Blink Dagger into an early BKB. Getting a couple stacks up on the Kunkka. Will he keep going? Morphling managed to pick up Nature's Prophet in the midst of all that. So, looks like Nature's Prophet is not going to have too much success in that mid lane. Morphling level 7 already, so it looks like SS performing very admirable. 5 stacks up on the Kunkka. Will there be a teleportation to save him? 6 stacks, slowing down that Kunkka ridiculous amount. 119 movement speed reduced, but he's diving. He might have begun his Firefly a little bit too late, and now he might be in a lot of trouble. Looks like enough cleaves and the Nature's Prophet teleportation will be able to kill him, and looks like PDG is going to whiff the splitter. He's going to take the fall as well. So over aggressiveness / mistiming of the skill going to be a downfall of M5 in that engagement. 7-3 in favor of M5, but fortunately for them, Morphling is performing very, very well. Anytime that happens, you're going to have a good time. Meanwhile, Windrunner on the bot lane has some magic stick charges, but has to just keep backing the heck away from the bottom lane, just because Venomancer is doing a beautiful job in terms of just harassing. Level 4 Venomancer, not the most farm Venomancer, but still getting all the experience he really needs at this point in the game. Just as long as he manages to pick up his ultimate and get a reasonably fast level 11, a level 11 by 25 minutes is probably the trademark that you want to have for Venomancer at this point of the game. Looks like they're going to be a die. PG taking a lot of damage. Replicate being casted Leshak, but he's not microing him back, so SS might take the fall. The Replicate will die, and he does not have enough mana to cast Morph very often, and looks like the Batrider managed to teleport in. He does die, and Morphling picked up the Nature's Prophet in the midst of all that. Will they land the Soul Catcher Torrent? Yes, the Torrent does hit. Beautiful Torrent by Alastrang. And now Morphling buys back in the rage-filled. Not really too sure about that buyback. I guess he just knows there's a lot of farm on the top lane. And keep in mind, buybacks at this stage of the game only cost about 200-250 gold. Meanwhile, level 8 Morphling probably responds in around 20-25 seconds. So right now, if he manages to last hit very well, he'll be able to make up that money, and all the while he's still getting experience. So this is not really the rage buyback. This is probably pretty smart buyback by the Morphling at this stage of the game. But he can't use it too much because buyback goes up in terms of cost as you approach the mid to late stage part of the game. The more you buy back, so he has to be careful about that. Meanwhile, it looks like Blood Angel is going to be ushered away by the Centaur Enchantress. Level 6 has level of impetus, and still has that Smoker to see, has not been able to pop that to get off any sorts of ganks. Meanwhile, just checking out the Kunkka farm. Ring of Basilius with the Shadow Demon. Looks like they're going to go on the offensive for SS. SS has to be extremely careful. Might have to back the heck away. Here comes the Disruption. Pretty long cast range. 600 cast range with the Soul Catcher. It's going to hit. Combined with the Torrent. And look at Morphling just explode. Evaporate rather than melt. Because that's what Morphlings do. And Morphling, that buyback. Unfortunately, it managed to get him a lot of experience. But unfortunately, overall, he probably lost a little bit of gold in that exchange. So Admir is going to be able to farm up, but he can't just pop the Sandstorm because Torrent will just be able to blow that up. And all the while, M5 is going to be completely counter-ganked. Their aggressive movements are not being favorable to them in this part of the metagame, or in this stage of the game at all. Meanwhile, Blood Angel is going to farm it up with the wards. Carefully doesn't feed too many wards to Furin because 16 gold does add up over the duration. 2 wards already have been killed. But it looks like Venomancer doesn't care. He just wants to pick up that level 6, which he has gotten. He's going to be able to... He skipped the Poison Nova just because he doesn't have enough mana. And he's going to be able to pick up a level 7 relatively quickly if he should stay in this lane. Meanwhile, Batrider gets disrupted. Here comes the Torrent. It's going to hit. No, rather, that was the Morphling SS managed to teleport out with the waveform. And now, here comes Admir, manages to get a beautiful 2-man barrel strike, and looks like the epicenter will be channeled to the full duration. He chases Kunkka, knowing that Shadow Demon is going to die, but Morphling died all the while in the midst of all that. Shadow Demon managed to escape for a little bit. Torrent hitting Admir, Kunkka gets away. 1-for-1 trading the Morphling for the Shadow Demon is a trade that 4FC will take gladly any time. And keep in mind, M5 devoted 3 heroes to that gank, and they lost their hard carry. So, very unfortunate. Gank for M5 did not work out to their advantage whatsoever. Meanwhile, Batrider is going to try to go on the offensive for the winner, but she is level 7. She has reasonable experience if you can get a couple of stacks up with the Napalm. But right now, Napalm is not going to be enough to drive the winner away. A couple more stacks. He does have the Flaming Lasso up, but he's going to have to escape from the Enchantress. And looks like they want to get teleportation in. Sprout, of course, will not be useful because it'll just burn down the trees. And Aeroloco manages to pause the game, so we can just check out the early game farm and the gold graph. Gold graph should be in favor of 4FC. Yes, a little bit over 1,000 gold advantage. They have picked up a tower, but surprisingly, it looks like M5 is out farming the 4FC squad just because Morphling outlaned that Furion so hard. And we can just see from this graph, you can see 51 and 36, ridiculous last hitting and denying by M5SS. Unfortunately, he did buy back, but he's picked up 2 kills, so he's farming extremely well. Will he go for a fast linking sphere? The very standard build up for the Morphling. Meanwhile, Blood Angel is farming relatively well. M5 is doing a nice job distributing their farm. Meanwhile, Aeroloco not farming well at all, but has 5 hero kills and 5 assists, so he's going to get pretty farmed from that alone. So the Shadow and Kunka combination just being extremely difficult to be played against in the early stages of the game. But if the game goes late, I fully expect the Batrider Morphling combination. Of course, Batrider's ultimate does go through BKB, and Morphling a ridiculous late game hero to fully out late game the 4FC squad. So Enchantress apparently having some disconnect problems, so we can just check out the items really quickly. So PGG has the Gauntlet Strength along with the Observer Wards. Meanwhile, Vigos has not even been able to pick up Boost Speed, just the Magic Stick and Stout Shield. No hope for any sort of Fast Blink Dagger. Ben Q, Admir, has picked up the Boots and the Urn, so will he go for the Arcane Boots or will he just skip it, go for an extremely Fast Blink Dagger? Looks like they're giving Venomancer a lot of the farm that Batrider and Sand King would normally get. Venomancer has picked up Arcane Boots in the midst of all this. Treads and Bottle up for the Morphling with the Waistband. Of course, Bottle a year ago managed to mean a Bottle into BKB into Scotty for the Chinese players, but Bottle is just such a useful item for the Morphling in the early stages of the game, and of course you can just refill it if you put it on the Courier, and you just get enough mana to spam Waveform, farm faster, just be overall a nuisance, and the runes really do help out the Morphling in the late stages, or in the early to mid stages portion of the game. Meanwhile, the Shaodyun has picked up Arcane Boots of himself. 5 creep kills with 5 hero kills will do that for you. Has been doing a nice job warding and counter warding all the while. Has picked a Smoker to see as well. Meanwhile, Kunkka has picked up an early quarterstaff, gonna go for that Shadow Blade, as he has the Phase Boots as well, so Kunkka is firing relatively well in the meanwhile. Meanwhile, Furion has picked up Dust Appearance with the Strength Treads. Windrunner has not been farming too well, has the Ring of Protection along with the Magic Wand and the Boots of Speed. So that's pretty much all she needs at this point. Just checking out the experience graph at the moment. Pretty significant experience advantage to the Radiant squad, which can be expected from the 11-5 kill score. And keep in mind, Morphling has died, bought back, and died again quite often in the past couple of engagements. So that early farm is not helping out too much. He managed to get a lot of the early farm from the early game against the Furion lane, where he just completely dominated that lane. But right now he's just died, bought back, died, and then died in that last gank, so his farm has surely plummeted, or his farming rate rather has plummeted in the midst of all of that. So Kunkka picking up the quarterstaff, gonna go for that Shadow Blade, gonna give him burst damage with that splash, and just give him overall more mobility, just a little less fear to push away. And it's gonna be pretty difficult to counter push up against this 4FC squad. They have Kunkka Tidebringer Splash, they have the Furion, they have the Windrunner Power Shot. But it's not like M5 is slouching in terms of pushing either. They have the Edict, they have the Wards, they have Waveform and Burrow Strike, so they have to be careful about all that. So, computer crash, so we're just going to have to sit around and watch this for a little bit. Just looking at the overall ward positioning, we have dire wards being placed in the jungle, as well as up on this cliff, spying the runes, and just keeping an eye out for the mid lane, so that there won't be any sorts of ganks threatening the Venomancer in this part of the game. And if they keep one support with the Morphlings, you should be a-okay. Meanwhile, Batrider, of course, flying the heck out. Radiant wards, they have been sentry warding it up, trying to counter any M5 wards at the moment, and 2 to 3 minutes is the call for Admir. So I do not know what that means. I've been paying attention to the chat. So I guess we're just going to wait for a little bit longer. Meanwhile, Enchantress, if she doesn't get very early game, just checking out her overall stats for this early parts of the game. She is 103, so she hasn't died. she's going to be able to pick up Arcane, so she can spam that impetus a little bit more frequently, have enough mana to cast that Nature's Attendance, and just be able to be a very, very big nuisance in the mid-late stages of the game if you do not target her. So impetus, of course, cannot be underestimated at any point of the game, and pure damage just eats that armor, that Morphling, that Leshrac, all those heroes can have, and just is really ridiculous in terms of that skill. Of course, Leshrac does not get very tanky, neither does Manmancer, although he does usually build pretty tanky. So we'll see how much attention they devote to this Enchantress once she reconnects. She's performing reasonably well. Unfortunately, she hasn't been able to get many pushes. Only one tower has been taken for the 4FC squad. Meanwhile, one tower has been taken for the M5 squad in exchange. So that 1k gold lead was from just the kills, rather. My mistake right there. Will we see smoke ganks coming out, or are they just holding on smokes just for smoke's sakes? I don't know. This is the annoying part of Dota 2 replays at the moment. Hopefully, maybe I should just fast forward it up a little bit, but I do not want to miss anything at the moment. So we're just going to be patient. I'm just going to listen to me ramble on. So, just some updates. I'm just finishing up the last bits of editing on the Batrider guide. It will be up in the next 2 to 3 days, hopefully at the most. There's going to be a beginner's guide and an advanced guide, and hopefully I'll be able to get my next hero guide up extremely shortly afterward. Pubs are coming in very soon, not just Smite. I'll probably do maybe one Smite game a week up on my channel, and I might just play for fun in the meanwhile. It's a pretty fun game, so just going to keep an eye out on that. And the defense, of course, has been able 2 minutes smoke break. Come on, guys. Really? You're just going to let all your stream watchers just... This is sort of one of the big complaints that Dota 2 has had, just because it's a 5v5 game. As we see Diamond just doing some stuff. Everybody else is smoking it up, I guess. But Dota 2 seems to lack professionalism and just in terms of timiness / punctuality. Of course, it is a 5v5 game where the managers and the teams just have to show up, and if you're missing one player, you cannot play the game. And you don't really want to disqualify a team if they're late by like 10 minutes or 5 minutes. But I think the administrators will just have to be a little bit more careful in terms of enforcing those rules. Dota 2 has such a promising future, it would be really a really big shame if it does not progress just to the lack of punctuality, just the lack of respect, just the lack of too many stand-ins, to be quite honest. Of course, I'm not too bothered at the moment just because it's still very early stages of beta, but even though a lot of money's being thrown on nonetheless. But if you want to sort of get to that level of StarCraft 2 has, you really need to make that next step in terms of professionalism. Sponsors will not be too eager to help out teams that have been just sort of dicking around in terms of punctuality, in terms of stand-ins, in terms of their team. If you're a sponsor, you do not want to have other people representing your sponsor, and just if you lose, it just sort of been like, okay, we didn't have our full roster. Why didn't we have our full roster, guys? Oh, he was just like, lightning hit his house, killed his cat. He has to go to the cat funeral. Just really, really unprofessional things will mean... It won't mean the death of Dota 2, but it won't mean it will take off as big as StarCraft 2 and other esports. I'm not really too sure how big this is at the League of Legends community, but this has been present in Dota pretty much its whole lifespan. So we're going to see how that figures out. So at the moment, I'm not too worried. I expect teams to sort of step it up, and we'll see more and more big sponsors sign up. Razor's just picked up Zenith, the top Singaporean squad with Loda on their side. BenQ just picked up M5, I think pretty recently. More and more sponsors getting the game. Copenhagen Wolves, after their little bit of a stint, has picked up the Tough Bananas, so I'm pretty happy for them that they did not get dissuaded by the Danish Dynamite's sort of flakiness, and they picked up a sponsor. They picked up a team that was performing extremely well in the midst of all that. So I'm pretty happy for Copenhagen Wolves. Hopefully their teams will go. And I think if we have a little bit more mid-game level Dota tournaments, not just the same professional teams over and over again. And keep in mind the defense had some open qualifiers. 4FC I don't think has been invited into too many tournaments. So, the defense has some pretty good variety in terms of teams. I'm not sure if Navi's participating in the defense. I didn't see their name on a list last I recall, but I think it would be pretty much a travesty if they weren't in the defense. So I'm pretty sure they are, even though I didn't see them, because they were the champions of the defense in the first round. But yeah, more games pretty soon. Keep in mind, if you want to watch Dota 1 games, send me the replays up on bball773@gmail.com. I'll put up a little description in the midst of all that just to say fast forward to the end of the pause break. I won't have to edit this video on Sony Vegas, so it'll be a bit easier for me to get this game out sooner, and I'll be able to fast forward it. As looks like everybody is ready, so I'll be able to get back into the game. Finally, hopefully there won't be too many more pause breaks, and I do not expect it because I sort of know when this game ends, and that pause break was around 10 minutes, I think. Meanwhile, Leshak is trying to pick up level 6, trying to pick up some more Split Earth and Lightning level. Split Earth might not be the best thing just because the stun duration doesn't go up and the lightning bounces, and just the spam ability will be more useful. Will they gank this Leshak? Here comes the torrent. It's going to be able to hit PGG. One splash does a huge amount of damage, and PGG dies in the blink of an eye. And meanwhile, Morphling is going to farm it up on the jungle. He's just going to ball spam it up a little bit. Has 568, very, very low HP, has pretty decent armor, and he's just being able to keep up his damage, so he's able to clear creeps faster. But he has to be ever so careful. And Chances just destroys the rune, not really too sure what that was. I guess he knew that the Venomancer would destroy the rune anyway, and it would just be a little bit waste of a time if he walked all the way down to the rune. A whole waste of 2 to 3 seconds, which in the late game matters, but not in the early to mid stages of the game. You know, Venomancer doing a very sort of thing, just Ancient stacking it up, or just Ancient creeping it up with those Plague Wards doing a lot of damage. Will he go for the Roshan? I do not expect 4FC to let Veno have a Roshan, and it is past 10, so Roshan will be a little bit more buff. Meanwhile, Morphling is going to farm it up on this top lane. He morphed a little bit back more into strength just because he knows the Shadow Demon Kunkka combination is so damn dangerous. Morphling does have enough mana for the waveform. Here comes PG with the Edict, killing the Golems, and Kunkka, I guess he realized he was pincered. I don't know if that ward saw PGG. I guess it did, and he's going to have to back the heck away. He's going to phase out, teleport out. No, he's just going to stick around. Kunkka's wasting a little bit of time, not really too sure what he's doing. I guess he just wants to wait for a counter gank, or he's just going to chill in that lane. Meanwhile, Batrider was harassed a little bit. The Purge and the Poison stacking up, and he's going to be able to pick up a last hit in the midst of all that. Has finally picked up the boost of speed. So Vigas not having a good time. But Batrider, in order to be a truly dominant hero, like, he needs to have a very strong early game. But he's still a decent hero into mid-late stages of the game. If you get the full duration of Firefly, it does something ridiculous. 75 damage over the full duration per second, over 15 seconds is pretty big channel. As Phase Boots is going to be chasing PGG away. Will he get the torrent? The Nature's Prophet teleport was cancelled. Here comes Sand King to help out the Leshak. Burrow Strike going to be able to save PG for a little bit, but the last hit by the Nature's Prophet picked up a double kill. Managed to kill the Venomancer in the midst of all that. So nice play by this Nature's Prophet. 14-5, M5 just getting ganked and counter-ganked their way away from their place in the game. So pretty unfortunate for M5, but can they stick it together? This is one of the trademarks of M5. If they don't get out to a very strong start in the early game, they're gonna pretty much be, their over-aggressiveness will be turned against them, and Sand King picks up a kill against the Shadow Demon as they went a little bit too hard for that Batrider, and looks like Sand King and Venomancer are gonna be able to fight away. But yeah, that is a trademark of M5. That's part of the risk of ganking. Either you do really well, or you just get kind of blown the heck up. Because ganking, it devotes so many heroes to just picking off hero kills. You don't pick up farm, you don't pick up too much of an experience advantage. Even though you eliminate some of the opponent's farm and experience themselves if you manage to pick up a kill. If the opponents are not devoting too many heroes into the ganks themselves, then they should be able to out-experience you in the meanwhile. But as more and more ganking heroes are being introduced, as I hope Templar Assassin will be introduced pretty shortly, heroes like Chaos Knight, a very strong ganker. Yeah, just other heroes like that who are pretty strong gankers in their own right. As they are introduced, I expect ganking to become a bigger factor in the Dota 2 scene. Meanwhile, PG and Blood Angel are going to farm it up. PG picking up some much new experience by these Ancients, and he's going to be able to get the Edict kill. Meanwhile, Regen Rune popped by the Morphling, just going to waveform for the CS. Will they go on the offensive for him? Here comes the Torrent. It's going to hit SS. Here comes the Wrath of Nature doing a lot of damage, but he manages to replicate out at the last second. Batrider blinks, or just Fireflies in, charging in the midst of all that madness. But he's going to have to run away just because he was pretty much outnumbered. He had no support, and Morphling just got the heck out of there, which he should have done anyway. So, nice play overall, wasting a little bit of Shadow Demon's time, wasting a little bit of Vigas' time, but they saved the Morphling, that's all that matters. So, that's getting good for them. Meanwhile, Blood Angel continuing to farm Ancients, just getting a lot of experience from this and picking up a lot of gold as well. He's going to go for the headdress. So will he go for a pipe or will he go for a mechanism? Probably a mechanism just because he's getting a lot of farm. And hopefully he'll be able to pick up both the mecha and the pipe. There's no natural mech carrier since PG is not farming well. PG in the midst of all that has picked up a point boost, so good for him. It's going to be able to tank up a little bit more. A little bit more mana to just cast a lot of spells in these early parts of the game. You know, Batrider, 1300 gold in the bank, so it looks like he will save up for that Blink Dagger rather than going for any sort of VIP booster or Vanguard or anything like that. And that will be very good in terms of ganking and just in terms of initiating. I guess they're sort of going to be able to sacrifice the Batrider if he just blinks in for the Flaming Lasso. And it'll be good in terms of getting isolated kills, but in huge team fights, Batrider will die in the blink of an eye. Just really, really short lifespan on the Batrider if he doesn't pick up any tanking items in those team fights. Just looking at the overall hero movement, here comes Admir. He's picked up a headdress as well, so he might go for a pipe himself. Or maybe they're just stacking headdresses for some extra regen. Meanwhile, Morphling's just going to wave the heck away. Kunkka has not died in the midst of all that. He has picked up a Shadow Blade, so it would behoove M5 to pick up some Dust of Appearance. Do they have any? They do not. They have Sentry Wards up by PG. But keep in mind, one of the good things about Shadow Blade is it gives you that boost in terms of movement speed as well. So you can just scuttle away from any sorts of wards if you are not chain stunned. Meanwhile, the Shadow Demon has, unfortunately for him, had died. He has 1400 gold in the bank. Will he go for a mechanism himself? How is Windrunner farming? Windrunner has the components of the mechanism, only about 300 gold away from finishing that full mechanism. So Shadow Demon might just be setting up for maybe an alternate arm to go for a very late game Hex, or maybe he's going to be able to get a pipe. We'll see. We'll see. Looks like for FC, they know they have an advantage, they want to sort of push into it, but they have to be careful. Just can't have enough money for the Blink Dagger, only 300 gold away from picking up that finished Blink Dagger. And Chet just charges up the hill with the heal popped on, so she can't die in an instant. They managed to miss the Shackle Shot up on PG, but he is Purged, he is Soul Catchered. The Purge damage will kill PG. Winner picks up the last hit in the midst of all that. Kunkka casts the Torrent, but looks like he's going to run the heck out of there. Replicate is up, so Morphin will be able to replicate out, and he does die to the last hit of the Nature's Prophet. Morph was not enough to save him, so 2 more kills being picked up by 4FC, and 5 is on full retreat. And looks like, where is Vigos in the midst of all that? Vigos is just flying in from the background. I guess he wanted a bit better initiation before he could go on the aggressive because he is not very tanky. He has the Blink Dagger, but he only has 900 HP, not the best armor either, only 3 armor. So 2 kills, 4FC is just going to back away, pick up the heal, just slowly take their advance and build upon it. Morphling did die in that battle, so they're eliminating this Morphling's early game farm, which was really impressive. And let's just check out the gold graph really fast. 2k gold advantage, more kills being picked up by the 4FC squad. As it looks like Batrider managed to kill the Nature's Prophet in the midst of all that. Where is he now? We shall see. He blinked in with the Firefly and just the Napalms with the Flame Break, so he didn't even have to use his Flame Lasso, which is pretty good because it has still a 70-second cooldown at the 11-11 ultimate. I wonder what Nature's Prophet was doing. Should I back up? Nah, we'll just roll with it, guys. As Batrider blinks in with the Flaming Lasso for the Kunkka, can they get the wards? Yes, here comes the Epicenter dropping a lot of ultimates. They drop the Venomancer, Poisonous Gale as well, as they manage to kill the Kunkka in the midst of all that. PG picks up a kill, so that Blink Dagger is going to start to pay for itself if they manage to pick off individual heroes. As Sand King picks up a Blink Dagger himself, unfortunately his ultimate was used to kill the Kunkka, but killing that Kunkka was very important because that's pretty much the best late game that the Radiant side have with the Nature's Prophet. Meanwhile, just an army of Enchantress keeps going to try to kill this tower. A couple more hits by the Winter Illusion, and Enchantress picks up the last hit with the Illusion Rune. Or the Replicate, maybe. He enchanted it. But picks up the last hit, going to be able to pick up the Arcane Boots very, very soon. Art is going to finish that pipe, has Hood of Defiance, so Enchantress is getting pretty tanked. Still dies very, very quickly to burst damage just because she has 700 HP. Meanwhile, Kunkka is just going to try to continue the farm to make up for some lost time after that death. But we're just going to watch M5's movement for a little bit on the minimap. There's going to be a migration for the top lane. Enchantress might be pincered. Will Vigos blink in? Yes, Vigos does blink in. Stacks some napalms. Looks like Enchantress is pretty low HP. Windrunner comes in to reinforce with the mechanism, and M5 is just going to back away. They only had 2 people there. Meanwhile, they probably knew that 4FC had a lot of reinforcements, and the Nature's Prophet would teleport in at any time. And looks like PG is not scared of this Nature's Prophet at all. Only the Medallion of Courage and Dust with Treads And Sand King does have that Blink Dagger, so they can go on the offensive for this Nature's Prophet if they want to. But they're just going to back up. And PG picking up farm, I like this choice, giving more farm, more items to the Slash Act will really help out M5 as the mid-game approaches. Looks like Sand King wants to get the blink in. He burrow strikes before the blink to get the chain stun off with the Split Earth. Unfortunately, that Split Earth is not high leveled, and looks like Shouting picked up a 4-staff, and 4-staff away that Nature's Prophet. Winner is going to try to position himself for a Shackle Shot with Disruption, going to be able to easily kill PGG. So unfortunately, the counter ganking by 4FC has been top-notch, as M5 is slowly but surely getting whittled away. But Venomancer is just keeping the farm up, and if he picks up level 11 by the 25-minute mark, his ultimate will just do a huge amount of damage. Of course, it won't be as effective once the pipe is finished by the Enchantress, and Mechanism already completed. So heroes like Venomancer and Sand King won't be as effective as they usually would be. Meanwhile, here comes the teleportation. Sand King does have the ultimate and the Blink Dagger. Torrent going to be casted on Vigas. Will he go on the offensive? Sand King uses the Epicenter as he blinks in to kill those Centaurs with a vengeance. A little bit of a misplay, miscoordination right there. As SS wants to go on the offensive by himself, he has a haste room, but I'm not really too sure if this is West's idea. If there is a Shouting, if he teleports in, he can get the Demonic Purge to purge away that haste room. He doesn't have a replicate either, so he's going to back away. What are you doing, SS? What was that, man? Not too sure if trolling or just giving themselves tactical disadvantage just to make the late game a little bit more epic. But that was just a huge misplay by SS. Still only the Perseverance, not even the Ultimate Orb. So he's going to pick up a very late Lincoln Sphere. So everything is going wrong for M5 at the moment. The only thing that's going right is that the Blink Dagger on the Sand King, a decent level of Venomancer, and the Blink Dagger on the Barrett. But keep in mind, Barrett, if he blinks in, he will just die very, very quickly. Not many items to his name. And Barrett, of course, had to be midst of everything. The Flaming Lasso has a pretty short cast range. I think about 300 or 250, something like that. So he's going to have to be in midst of everything. And meanwhile, 4FC just going to easily claim this top tier 2 tower. Not too much in terms of map positioning, but going to give 4FC a nice boost in terms of gold nonetheless. And only one tier 2 tower remains before the tier 3 towers can be sieged upon. And looks like they want to get a tower trade in the mid lane. Looks like Sand King blinks away. PG might be in a little bit of trouble. Dust Appearance casted by the 4FC squad. They're going to be able to pick off PG. Here comes the tornado. It does not hit, but looks like the massive amount of burst damage. Going to be able to clean up PG in the midst of all of that. Meanwhile, Venomancer is going to keep farming up, has a Mechanism, going to be able to pick up a Hooded Defiance if he goes for that. Or he might just go for some damage. Farming the Venomancer and the Morphling might be a good step in terms of securing themselves a late game, just because the Venomancer is an agility hero. He gets pretty good stats from agility, I think 2.3 or 2.4, or 2.4 or 2.5 rather, base agility growth. So he can do some damage. Of course, he's not very squishy, and there are a lot of measures against him. Just so much healing being pumped out by the Radiant squad in the form of Mechanism and the Enchantress. Enchantress, how tank she is, she only 700 HP, but she does have the pipe giving her an effective boost of sort of like 600 HP from the pipe and just an extra 200 HP from the magical reduction. Plague Words are not going to be enough as this tier 2 tower will fall. This tier 2 tower is important in terms of Roshan positioning, as looks like there was a blink in from Vigas, going to be able to get disrupted. Or Shouting disrupts himself as Vigas is forced to back away. Epicenter is up, but they already used the Firefly. Unfortunately, for 4FC, they do not want to take this fight at the moment. They're just going to keep it slow and steady. Wait for the Nature's Prophet to farm up. Looks like Kuko just finished the Vanguard. Nature's Prophet picked up an Ultimate Orb in the midst of all that. But let's just watch out. This upcoming team fight might make or break M5. As looks like Vigas is going to get X'd back. He gets so much damage. Torrent, Boat doing a crap ton of damage. Here comes the Mechanism healing the Venomancer. The Boat match hit as Sand King and Venomancer just not doing anything. Look at the HP levels of 4FC. It's just insanely high at this stage of the game. But looks like Morphling and Leshak just doing a lot of the dirty work as the Venomancer ultimate is starting to exact its toll. Going to be able to pick up Krillix in all the midst of all that, as Winner is going to have to back away, or Enchantress is going to have to back away. Boom is going to sacrifice herself. So nice team fight by M5. I thought that 4FC was able to hold on just because they were managed to stay at such high HP after the Epicenter and after the first couple ticks of the Venomancer ultimate. But the high level of the Venomancer just making a big factor. That ultimate started to wear down up on the 4FC squad, and just Morphling, Leshak, and Veno managed to carry that team fight, even with the loss of the Barretter blinking in and not doing too much in that engagement. SS has the alternate orb, has the Lincoln Tier recipe, 900 golden bank. Will be able to pick up Blade of Alacrity if he decides to go for Mantis Style, or will he go for Ghost Scepter into Ethereal Blade? Not really too sure if that's the best idea. Enchantress is pretty tank, but she does die very easily. She's pretty tank against magical damage, not very tank in terms of just overall damage, as she picks up Belt of Giant Strength, and is going to go for Treads rather than Arcades. Gonna try to tank up as much as possible, rather than getting off a lot of impetus shots. Keep in mind, Nature's Prophet was not in the engagement for all that, but is about 200 gold away from finishing that hex. We'll just watch a gold graph swing back down, and Radiant does not have as big advantage in terms of gold graph as they did before, even though they do have 4 towers as compared to 1 tier 2 tower left on the M5 squad. So just the gold graph shows that M5 is out farming the Radiant squad, and just checking out the overall CS, you can definitely see that it is the case. Morphling almost 200 CS, Sand King over 100 CS. Meanwhile, only one player has over 100 CS, and that is the Nature's Prophet, or 2 players. Kunkka does as well, but neither have too high of CS themselves. Meanwhile, Nature's Prophet just setting the chance to scout out that rush. Kunkka has picked up Vanguard, so he's going to get a little bit more tanky, but for FC, they have to make their move. They don't want to face a late game against a Morphling. And if Fleshshot keeps farming it up, will he pick up a Bloodstone? He has the Point Booster and the Bracer with the Arcane Boots, so he might be able to assemble that and go for a late game Bloodstone, which would be pretty effective in terms of counteracting the healing, just allowing Leshrac to get in the midst of all that and just spam his Pulse Nova. And the Smoke of Deceit is not going to be able to pan out very effectively for the 4FC squad. M5 probably suspected that something was going to be up for 4FC to regain the momentum. 4FC still has a lead, don't get me wrong, but they can't keep waiting around. They do not match up well against this Morphling at all in the late game, and just the overall AoE mass teamfight potential that you saw by the M5 squad still is pretty potent in this mid-stage portion of the game. Meanwhile, Venomancer, he's just like, oh, this worked out really well for me. Let's farm a Veil and just keep getting high-leveled. So Veil is going to increase the overall DPS of the Batrider, of the Sand King, of the Venomancer by a ridiculous amount. So maybe Morphling might go for the Tier Blade, but rather he'll probably finish up that Yasha. He's going to be able to pick up another alternate orb and just get his way close to a Mantis Star, or he might just go for an Scotty. Get ridiculously tank with that soul ability nonetheless. But no, he's just going to hold on to his gold at the moment and farm up. And in case he does die, he has a buyback to join up his teammates in a team fight whenever he wants. Meanwhile, Curly managed to pick up the Hex. So it looks like 4FC with that Hex is going to try to farm up this bot lane. Batrider dies again. Vigos not having a fun time in this game at all. Just he hasn't been able to get very tank, but he does have the Blink Dagger, so he can go for some secondary initiation or primary initiation, just draw a lot of spells and then allow the Venomancer and Sand King to blink in. Nature's Prophet easily picks out Dagger as Venomancer is going to be a lot of trouble. Here comes the X and the Torrent, and Venomancer dies very, very quickly. Will 4FC go on the offensive? Venomancer does not enough for buyback. Vigos does, but will Batrider buyback? Probably not, as I think 4FC will defend their mid lane and just try to go for Roshan. Looks like they are migrating slowly but surely to that Rosh pit. That tower less than half HP, so they will have to send away somebody to prevent that. They're just going to use the Medallion of Courage against Roshan, probably send the Nature's Prophet away to help out that tower. You know, all the while Morphling is going to push that top tier 1 tower. So if M5 picks up 2 towers, it might be a good trade for them, but they're going to lose the Roshan in exchange. And when you're in a dire, you never really want to give up a free Rosh at any point in the game. As Kunkka drops an item, going to be able to pick up this Aegis of the Immortal. Will he get tanky? Will he get a Crystallis or anything like that? Admir is going to have to blink the heck away. Is purged, is soul captured, is poisoned, and here comes the Nature's Prophet, gonna go for the Admir kill. Unfortunately, the Hex duration will be cooling down very shortly. Will Admir die? Here comes the Shackle Shot, easily killing Admir in the midst of all that, but Morphling picks up a kill. Shaodyun manages to kill PG in the midst of all that. Here comes Vigos in for the reinforcements as Morphling picked up a double kill. Before he's still at full HP. Here comes the Lincoln Sphere as Batrider is gonna stack the Napalm, slowing the retreat of the 4FC squad. Nature's Prophet does not have the Aegis, so he will die. A couple more stacks. Vigos, you're not stacking properly. As Kunkka comes in for the reinforcements, Sand King blinks in the midst of all that. Unfortunately, Kunkka just managed to pop that Shadow Blade, as looks like Nature's Prophet did die to the Vigos, as he picked up a gem, gonna be able to counter ward. So nice engagement by M5, just capitalizing on the chaos of that team fight. And if M5 thrives on one area, it's just chaotic team fights and just aggressive behavior. Morphling picked up a double kill, has another alternate orb. He might just be saving for an Scotty. He's getting ridiculously fine, and now Morphling not very threatened by any sorts of damage. And he does have the Lincoln Sphere to block a couple of the Hex charges. So Morphling is going to become more and more annoying to deal with. As we can just check out the items really quickly. As the team fight is going to die away for a little bit. You can see Winrunner picked up 4 staff. 4 staffs being picked up by 2 of 4 FC heroes. Going to help in terms of just separating the team away from the Batrider, Flaying Lasso, or just the Sand King Epicenter. Meanwhile, Kunkka has not been able to pick up too much damage, still has the Aegis of the Immortal to help him out. And just looking at the M5 items, you can see point booster up for Ben Q Admir, as he is going to go for an Aghanim Scepter, probably just picked up the point booster to get a little tanky. Almost level 16, so that Epicenter will hurt. And just looking at the overall levels, M5 is slowly but surely creeping up, and you can see Morphling just has a ridiculous level advantage. Sand King almost level 16. Venomites are doing a nice job in terms of just farming up in the Ancients, just not really being afraid to saying, I'm not going to risk my life if we're not going to pick up a kill. We're just going to be a safety net with the Venom. And he has the Veil discard. Meanwhile, Vigos picks up an Ultinor, so it'll be a little bit tankier. Has that Gem of True Sight as well, so he can chase more effectively counterward and pick up that Kunkka with the Lothar's Edge. Looks like Furion has picked up the Mithril Hammer, so will he go for a Deso or BKB? Probably the Deso, because Barrier does go through BKB. BKB will not help you against a Morphling either. So I think Deso might be the item choice for the Nature's Path, or he might pick up a Maelstrom to give him some secondary DPS, since Kunkka has not been able to pick up DPS for himself in quite a while. Here comes the Torrent and the gank up on PG. Split Earth misses as Kunkka just baited that to perfection. Nature's Path picks up the last hit with the Wrath of Nature, and Kunkka is going to be denied yet another creep. He has a BKB for himself. Meanwhile, Enchantress 800 gold in the bank, going to be able to pick up a Teleport Scroll just to get away and help out his teammates if any ganks come in. Meanwhile, Morphling has another item in the bank. He's going to be able to finish that Eye of Scotty, so now he's going to be ridiculously difficult to bring down, and if a couple more waves, he's going to have buyback as well, so they're going to have to be very careful against this Morphling. He's going to have ridiculous armor, pretty good damage and stats, and a lot of HP to play around with that Morph. He's just sending the Replicate all over the map, just farming it up in the midst of all this chaos. And now Barrett is going to farm away. Will he finish a late game X or will he finish a Treads? This is what I often do for Barrett if I get out to a mediocre start. I just save my boots and just finish up my other items, because Treads won't save me in the game, but just building towards other items will help you in the long run. Looks like Shackle Shot is going to whiff on Vigos, and he does have the Firefly just to escape, and he's going to run the heck away. Just checking out the score, you can see Vigos 3-6-3, so he's not been feeding as hard as I expected. Still not really the best score for him. And 5, I think they might have a bit of the momentum now, just because it is approaching the late stages of the game, and they have won the last 2 team fights rather convincingly. Morphle hasn't died. He's been able to pick up the Eye of Scott. You can just see how much damage he's throwing out. 200, well over 200 damage, 222 damage to be exact. Average being thrown out per hit with the slow and the waveform and the adaptive strike. On top of that, he is just a scary beast. And what will 4FC do? This is the question. To be or not to be? That is the question. They're going to be out team fighting. They have a strong ganking lineup, but unfortunately M5 know that if they make one mistake, they lose the game, so they're not going to do everything in their power just to not make the mistake, as Barrett blinks in with the Flaying Lasso, and boom! Lived up to his namesake, he just went boom. Died literally in an instant to that last track Morphling and Barrett combination. And as Barrett approaches the late stages of the game, that Flaying Lasso will be ever more spammable. Picked up a double damage, and looks like Morphling will go uncontested for this top tier 2 tower. No, just a reinforcements, no backup for his teammates. So Morphling is just going to replicate out, taking no risks at this stage of the game. And this is the problem in the late game, as it looks like Windrunner is just caught out completely unawares. Here comes the Windrun, going to stack the napalms, but here comes Admir with the Burrow Strike. PG picks up another kill, just eagerly taking all the kills he can get, saying, alright, I'm PGG. I will not be treated like a common support bitch. I will get all the kills I can, finish a Bloodstone. Or maybe he'll go for a Hex, we'll see. He'll probably finish the Drums of Endurance, or just save up for the full Bloodstone. That remains to be seen. Meanwhile, 4FC just slowly but surely know that they cannot escape if they push out too far away. Just so much initiation on the side of M5. They have the Replicate to reinforce, they have 2 Blink Daggers, and they have a lot of burst damage and overtime duration damage as well. They're going to try to pick off the Kunkka. They managed to kill the Enchantress with the Flaming Lasso. Unfortunately, Enchantress managed to escape in the midst of all that as Enchantress taking a lot of damage. Here comes the Flame Break pushing the Enchantress back towards his team. Nice play by Vigos, just pushing the Enchantress back towards him and the Morphling, as looks like Krilli's going to take a lot of damage. She had picked up a BKB, but Morphling just says, I don't care about BKB, I'm just going to click you and just kill you, as 4FC is on full retreat, and 4FC, what can they do at this point in the game? Morphling is just becoming too big of a problem, and one of the things you can't do is just take sort of a messy team fight like that. 3 free kills for the M5 squad, and it is not looking good for 4FC. Just checking out the gold graph really fast, you can see a significant gold graph decrease for 4FC, and it's now swung completely the opposite direction towards the M5 squad. One thing about M5 that you have to keep in mind is that even though they were down by like 10 to 11 kills in the mid game, even though they were down by a lot of towers, that gold graph never crossed the 3,000 gold threshold by 4FC. They were never in a huge deficit. 3,000 gold can be easily overcome at any stage of the game. So M5, even though they were down, just out farming with their mass push that they could easily clear out creeps with the Sand King and the Lesh, and just taking advantage of, okay, you're ganking us, but you're not farming. And this is the problem with ganking lineups. If you're not farming, you're just going to lose out in terms of overall gold, and now the gold graph is swung firmly in favor of M5. Sand King picks up the Aghanim Scepter. Morphling has 4.4k gold in the bank. Will he go for damage? Will he go for buyback? That remains to be seen. Ethereal Blade might not be the worst item in the world, but that will prevent Morphling from attacking, and if he wants to deal the maximum amount of damage rather than just burst damage, he won't pick up the Ethereal Blade. Meanwhile, Vigos is low 16, so Flaming Lasso, 50-second cooldown and a 4-second duration that goes through BKB, and there are 2 BKB heroes up on the Sentinel side, or the Radiant side rather. They have the Nature's Prophet and the Kunkka, and Flaming Lasso just says lol to all that. Meanwhile, Winner has not been too successful, has landed some decent shackle shots, but just, this is the problem with Winner. I mean, you don't want to give her too much farm, but you want to get her items like the Hex, and she just builds just a standard utility items, which make a lot of difference. But just in the late stages of the game, if she doesn't have a Hex by the 40-minute mark, she doesn't become too effective. Just Shackle Shot, of course, a game-breaking spell if she manages to land it. And here comes the Roshan respawning in a blaze of glory. This is such a weird animation. I'm just completely mesmerized. This looks like 4FC realized if they let the Morphling have the Aegis of the Immortal, they are going to be in a lot of trouble. It's dropping Sentry Wards in the midst of all that. Looks like Blood Angel might be caught up in position. He's going to teleport away, but he is going to die. Oh my god! Windrunner goes fogged in the midst of all that, and Blood Angel just trolls it up. Oh no, very unfortunate play by 4FC. Just got completely juked. Unfortunately, we're expecting probably Blood Angel to be around here. Did not expect him to just be standing right there saying, yo, what's up? Come stun me, bro. You know, Barrett are pretty close to a Hex, so he's been able to regain some of his farm. And this is why I say Barrett, he doesn't become too strong if he doesn't dominate in the early stages of the game. But he's still a decent hero. It's not like he's completely useless. And this is why I think Barrett will see a pretty big resurgence, just because he has so much utility. And it can be used in very, very strong initiations. It's because that Flame Lasso lasts for a decent amount of time. So, what will 4FC do? They still have the Nature's Prophet, they still have a lot of pushing, and you can never be too safe up against a Nature's Prophet. Fortunately, Nature's Prophet picked up BKB. I'm not really too sure I like this choice. He's not doing too much damage. He only has the Hex to his name. 160 damage. It's okay, I guess. But I'm not too sure how BKB will be able to save him. I guess they're just giving Batrider more targets to kill. But right now, Morphling, again, does not care. He picked up the Mantis out, and he's going to become even more of a dangerous pusher than he is already. He's going to try to kill the Enchantress by himself, and Enchantress is going to die in 2 more attacks. That low HP really working against the Enchantress. As Kunkka is going to try to teleport in, here comes the... Looks like Morphling just replicates out. Here comes Batrider for the Shoudian. We'll be able to kill it, just stacking napalms and disabling that Shoudian for 4 seconds. Cannot be underestimated. Here comes Admir. Could not channel the Sandstorm. Looks like Admir will be the first one to die for M5. As Shoudian is forced to run away. Batrider is going to have to get the heck away. Will he reinforce? Here comes Morphling on the offensive. Will he die? Morphling low HP to strength. Batrider picks up a kill with the Leshrac. As Morphling managed to clean up the Kunkka in the midst of all that. So nice team fight by M5. Shouting's gonna be the next one to fall. Barra just wants to blink in and kill Shout Demon. Nope, Morphing just replicates and just owns up that Shout Demon. So M5 just cleaning up there, getting 2 farmed, have big item advantage. PG has that Bloodstone, picked up a lot of charges in the midst of all that. 17.3 mana regeneration per second is pretty ridiculous. And they can go for the Roshan anytime they want. So 4FC is not looking too good at this point in the game. Not really too sure how they can come back. They have a ganking lineup, but right now ganking will not be too effective if the M5 squad just sticks together. But knowing M5, knowing how aggressive they are, you know, I will not count 4FC out just because M5 can make a mistake, but I'm sure they do not want to. They want to show that, okay, we're not frauds. We deserved our International 2 invite. We got second place at the Starletter Invitational. We are a very, very powerful team. We just picked up a new sponsor. Respect us, fear us, and watch out for us at the International 2. So, meanwhile, looks like Morphing's going to be able to pick up the Aegis tomorrow, just dishing out so much damage against the Roshan, 300 damage per hit, and slowing it ridiculously tanky as well. Look at his armor, 38 armor. SS has just become a monster at this stage of the game. Only 41 minutes in, just checking out his overall CS. 371, no big deal. Just almost 10 a minute. So SS is just having a grand old time. He's having a good time. He's having a ball. Don't stop him now. And you can't stop him now. He has Aegis. What are you supposed to do? I guess you're just supposed to run. Here comes Batrider for the initiation. PG already on the warpath, going to be easily pick off the Shout unit. Batrider still has a flaming lasso, but he wants to get the blink in. And now PG is going to chase that Nature's Prophet. No, Curly, do not go for PG. Batrider is just going to blink in and kill you. Looks like Batrider is not going to blink in and kill you. Looks like Curly might be in a lot of trouble. He's going to channel that ultimate Flame Breaker being casted initially, and now he's going to cast the Flaming Lasso. Flaming Lasso, nice job by Vigos waiting as long as possible so he can get reinforcements, and just a really nice job by Vigos channeling all the stuns and just utilizing Batrider perfectly in that instance. So M5 just cleaning up everybody in the midst of all that. Morphing is just become out of control. Not only T-Shower, 4FC can counteract that, and this is the problem with Kunkka. He's just not a very useful hero if you don't land the boat and all your AoE combos. He's a good ganker and counter chaser with the X, but just in terms of late game, he's a melee hero who can be sort of fought against relatively well. And people build him as sort of a tank with the Vanguard and the Shadow Blade. They don't really get a lot of damage until the late game. So Kunkka has just not been very effective. Milrex falls. Shoudian's going to die very quickly. No, he 4-steps out, and just the last Adaptive Strike will be able to clean up that Shadow Demon. Meanwhile, Sand King picks off the Windrunner in the midst of all that. Windrunner buys back, not really too sure what he can accomplish. Kunkka taking a lot of damage. If he dies, this might be the end. Morphling just able to tank that Fountain with relative ease. M5 just cleaning up the Fountain at this point in the game. Blood Angels, Venomancer has just been so ridiculous. Just farming up ridiculously well. As Milrex has fallen, Morphling can just stay around, stay a while, and just clean up the rest of the space. Looks like Admir died to the Nature's Prophet in the midst of all that. So 4FC managed to pick up 1 kill, but right now their gold graph just paints a ridiculous tale. Wow. In about 13 minutes, it went from a neutral gold to about a 20k gold advantage towards M5. And 4FC, they gotta feel a little bit down on themselves after this game. And if there's one thing that M5 did well, it's that they got Blink Daggers on their key heroes. And this is why I always say you do not play Sand King as a roamer support. You play him as a farmer until he gets that Blink Dagger. Then he doesn't need that farmer, or he doesn't need that farm, and then he can just go batshit crazy, as this Batrider might do as well. Leshrac will be there in the midst of all that. Looks like Batrider might be initiated on. Here comes the Power Shot. Morphing going to come in, clean up the Shoudian. A couple more hits. It looks like Enchantress might be the next one to fall, taking a whole bunch of damage. One more hit. Morphing picks up a double kill. Venomancer diving in for that Nature's Prophet. Lasso just for the sake of lassoing, as 4FC is going to lose for sure. Not really too sure how they can come back from this. 4FC 28-34. GG called by Vigos. I guess a sort of, if this was StarCraft 2, this would be seen as an offensive GG, but both teams know that this is over. Not really too sure if this is bad manners or anything like that. I don't really give a shit either way in terms of just the GG call. But maybe that's just the fault of me, as Kuka is going to pop the BKB, just still fighting to the bitter end. Morphwing is just going to stay in the fountain, just... He doesn't give a shit. My god. This is ridiculous. Morphwing's like, yeah, I got 800,000 billion armor. I'm going to use it. As SS and his teammates are going to take this well-deserved victory. Just playing very, very well. GG's called by Fabio Da Strong. So M5 take it after a nice mid to late game performance, and just 2 team fights lost was the death null for the 4FC squad, as they could not overcome their disadvantage after that. They had a very solid early game lead, but they just lost it in control. They went for team fights, and their ganking lineup could not take that team fight very effectively. I mean, what team fight spells they have? They have Kunkka and they have Windrunner. And that's pretty much it. Their lineup was made for ganking / pushing, and in team fights they just could not break M5 in their base. Blink Dagger Barrier, Blink Dagger Sand King changed and held on to the game for the Dire squad until SS got ridiculously farmed. Even managed to finish the Satanic in the midst of all that. 18, 5, 11, almost 700 gold per minute for SS. So that's going to be the end of that game. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it, and hopefully you continue to enjoy what I have coming in store for you guys. So thank you all for watching, and keep giving me feedback. I read actually every comment for the most part. I don't reply, but I do actually read every comment. I'm not that popular yet where I can't read every comment, so I still do, and I still take all your ideas and criticisms into my own commentating repertoire to give sort of a flavorful word, I guess. So that's going to be in that cast. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic day.